So, India has started another series with Australia. Match happened in Adelaide, first test, first day. Yesterday, very hot day, 38 degrees Celsius. And I'll keep switching between English and Hindi here because I think that's the best way to communicate. It was an unmitigated disaster for India. And what is really concerning is there seems to be something in the way these batsmen are being coached that is affecting their ability to succeed in these conditions. What do I mean by that? If you think back to the era, and I'll put it in a very simple way. I think it's the lack of back and across play from the batsman. There was a time in the late 90s and early 2000s where India's batting was more reliable. And whenever there were these sparks of bowling brilliance, like Ishant Sharma, Ajit Agarkar, I'm forgetting which exact test matches they did well in, but there were these test matches where they went like a 5-4, 6-4, a 6-for-32 or something for Agarkar, I remember, or Pathan, who contributed to a couple of victories overseas. When those bowling brilliances happened, they were always backed by a batting side which was able to sustain a big enough total that the victory could be achieved, right? Unfortunately, what's happening now is that the batting is just not standing up as a unit. It's usually just one guy in an inning who's playing well in the top order. So you need two people in the top 6 or even the top 5 to do well in an inning for it to be a successful inning, right? Vision means that you have at least a couple of good partnerships or one big partnership that can result in a respectable total. What's been happening is that it's either only Kohli that does well or only Pujara that does well, or in the case of a dead rubber in England, KL Rahul who did well. And that's not cutting it, right? So we are definitely missing out on potential victories that our bowlers are in a way setting up for us. And this might change in Australia with the batting friendly pitches. Last 2 tours were South Africa and England, which are bowler friendly, seam friendly, swing friendly conditions and pitches. But all said and done, the bowlers have been more or less setting things up so that the batsmen can get the victories or at least achieve draws. But the batsmen haven't been turning up. If you think back to the team of the 2000s, right? And I call it probably the phase between 2002, that England tour of 2002, where I think Dada was captain. From there till, I guess, pre-World Cup. So I think pre-World Cup, we probably had like the New Zealand series win. Then I think we won a test in South Africa. And the 2010 is a bit hazy to me. We probably had a home series. I'm not able to recall. But And I think post World Cup, what happened is that all these tired old men who were trying to keep it together for one last hurrah, etc. They just started to fall out, and then after the World Cup, the intensity was just not there anymore after the World Cup went, and then we've had like the series of losses after that, non-competitive tours away, and that era is still going on. So this entire decade is a decade of away losses, at a similar level as 90s, probably not as bad. 90s we just simply did not win anything outside. Now we are winning test matches. Every series we are winning a test match. Hopefully that will be the case this time as well. But what I'm trying to compare is the ability of that team that got us a drawn series in 2002, I think, in England. I'll have to check. Definitely the 2003-4 series in Australia was drawn by this team. 2007-8, there was definitely a series that India should have drawn if Empire Buckner wasn't there. So I treat that as a good series from India. We did win a test. And was that Perth? Did we win in Perth? And then I think 2007 itself, the series win in England. So a good set of away performances, then the New Zealand series win as well. And so we need to understand what that team was doing, that they were drawing series or winning series. After the World Cup, 2011 World Cup, we have not won in the SENA countries we had not won or drawn a single series. Am I right in saying that? 2011, 4-0 loss in England. Then came on Australia. I think it was again a 4-0 or something loss. Then there was, I think, a phase of India-based series. We went to South Africa at some point. I'm really forgetting if we toured South Africa in the 2012-13 period at all. I'm assuming not. But we've done England again in 2014, lost that 1-3 after leading the series after the Lord's Test, of course. Then went back to Australia and duly lost that series again. I think 2-0, if I remember correctly. That ended the career for MS Dhoni. I think he tried in that period to make it work, but it simply did not work. We also lost the 2012 series at home to England, so that's not very good. But I'll discuss that topic. I think we put too much blame on Dhoni. I think he just probably did not have the right teams and the right intensity from his team as such. While he personally was contributing, he salvaged the 2014 series for us to the best extent he could. He just didn't have the bowlers or the batsmen, in fact, to pull it together. But if you compare the successful team between 2002 and 2011 that had so many of these drawn away series and the win in England, what stands out for me, actually let me quickly check if we actually won the England series in 2007 and 2002. So we do stats.crickinfo.com. Okay. So you go to stats guru. You select India. You select the test matches India. You select a period of 2000s, I guess, and you select away, home of a physician, and you select series record, and you submit. Right, so it gives all of India's series. If you look at it, we lost the Border-Gavaskar Trophy, of course. I'm only going to discuss the series in Sena countries, I guess. And I'll start from the England series in 2002. So England series was 4 matches. It was a 1-all draw. Then we did go to New Zealand and lost 2-0. So that's a bit against the grain. But I haven't studied that series too well. Then we went to Australia in 2003-04 and drew that series 1 each, which was, I think, a great achievement. And I would say that's really where it started, right? Then we went to Pakistan, won that series 2-1. Went to Pakistan again, it was on 5-6, lost 1-0, but there's no shame in losing 1-0 to that Pakistan side. Then went to South Africa in 2006-07, lost 1-2, but won a match, very similar to what we've done recently. And then 2007 is when we won 1-0 in England. And then Border-Gavaskar 1-2 in Australia against, again, this is a fairly strong side. They were obviously aging, but still fairly strong. And we should have drawn that series. The Sydney Test was ours for the taking, if it was not for Buckner. And then we won the series in New Zealand to wrap it up in 2008-09. So that is the strength of the team. Now, if I come to the question of how did it happen? How was this team so successful? In being able to draw series, right? You're looking at draw and win. So 2002 England, 2003-04 Australia, 2007-08 Australia, which I consider a drawn series, although Buckner, and 2007 England. So, and 2008-09 New Zealand. So, 5 series, which, is it 5 or is it 4? 2002 England, 2007 England, 2007-08. Okay, let me not include the 2007-08 one. I think I sound like a broken record there. But 2002 England, 2007 England, 2009 New Zealand, and 2003-04 Australia. So 4 series in Sena countries in that period, which we either drew or won. Series, not just test matches. We won test matches in Australia, we won test matches in South Africa, did not win those series, and we won a series in Pakistan, which in that era I consider a success as well, because they had a good team back then. So 5 series in Sena plus Pakistan are either drawn or won. Since the World Cup, 2009 World Cup, we've been to England thrice. 0-4, 1-3, and I'm frankly forgetting the scoreline this time, but I think it was 1-3 as well. And South Africa also we lost. think one series in this period. I don't recall a second one. In Australia, we've had 2 series, so 11-12 and 2014-15. Lost both of them. I think 0-4 and 0-2. So essentially, you're comparing a team that had 5 series that were successful versus a team that has 0 series successful. So now I come to the main point. Why the difference? I think bowling-wise, we probably have a better attack than what we've had in any of those series. Batting-wise, we are definitely inferior. If you just purely look at away averages, players like Sachin, Dravid, Lakshman, definitely, I think even Ganguly, I'll have to check what his away record was, but would definitely be better than most of the Indian batters today. We had all of these people together in a team. And then you had that maverick called Sehwag, who was just crazy when he was on, and he would just take the game away from you. I'm actually struggling to... And then there was Gambhir. Gambhir came along in that era, which made our opening partnership actually quite remarkable. So you had a Gambhir, Sehwag, 1 down Dravid, 2 down Sachin, 3 down I think was, I dare say, Ganguly, not sure. No, Lakshman. 3 down was Lakshman. 4 down was Ganguly. And then 5 down was the wicketkeeper usually. So Dhoni in many of those cases. And in the pre-Dhoni era, you probably had Irfan Pathan sitting somewhere or Parthiv Patel sitting somewhere. But, it's a fairly strong batting lineup. And many of these people bowled. I mean, Sachin bowled if needed. Sehwag definitely bowled. Ganguly had his medium pacer. So we had these folks who were phenomenal batsmen. Also contributed to be the 5th bowler, so you could always go in with a team of 4 bowlers. What was unique about these batsmen? Ganguly, I would put in a different category. He worked purely on timing and hand-eye coordination. His backfoot game was all right. I think his square cut was fairly good. So, but overall, his ability to play the short ball was not that great. Sehwag also struggled against the short ball. But Sehwag is a different player. He didn't have a technique. He was just, see ball, hit ball. But again, he was also, I remember, a decent cutter of the ball of the back and across movement. So it's a lack of a back and across movement. Sachin was like, he didn't even look like an Indian player as such. He looked like somebody who's been brought up on fast, bouncy pitches. He just had the game for it. The cuts, the pulls, the hooks, the uppercut, square cut. Drives were there, but drives were probably his secondary weapon. He was more of a square cut player who would wait for you to give him width, fall back on the back and across movement and then cut you. Safer shot, was not as prone to go to slips, and I dare say if I compare the modes of dismissal from this era on the same grounds, right? You take Southampton, you take Headingley, you take Lords, Leeds, Oval, I don't know where they keep their matches, but you compare the way Indian batters are getting out, even to very similar bowlers. 3 of these series, Anderson and Broad have been common, so you can actually compare. You will find that, I don't have the data, but we might find that more of them are getting out in the slips because the back and across cut has just disappeared. And there is too much of this front foot prodding away from the body kind of shots. That should be a rarity. I mean, Sachin has also got out to those kind of shots a fair bit, in all honesty. But those were not their primary shots. So Sachin, Dravid, Lakshman, to some extent, Lakshman had a slightly different technique, but they all had the back and across available to them, which our current crop just doesn't seem to have. They are always just pushing forward, tentatively, playing away from the body, nicking it, and getting out. I mean, it's just the same story over and over again since they started touring in South Africa this year. And the sense I'm getting is that if you think about it, the leader of the pack is Kohli. Kohli has a certain way of playing. He plays outside the crease to negate the movement. He always lunges forward. He doesn't have the back and across. He's developed the soft hands approach, which helps him to some extent negate the slip catch. But because he's so likely to commit himself forward, it creates that issue. And that's what's missing in this team, essentially.